Hey, hey, hey. We're back. We're black. Especially with Juneteenth coming up. We're brown ambition. Hey, hey, Mandra, how are you? Uh-oh.
Pardon me, just the Rona. I am the last. I'm the last woman standing in my household who has not succumbed to COVID. It came for us, Tiffany. It came like a dark cloud last week. Started with my cousin, and I'm torn between making her feel guilty or not. I know that there's no blame in it. Anyone can get it now. It's highly contagious, but it feels good to point a finger sometimes. But so started with my cousin, and then my baby Rio tested positive yesterday. So he's out of daycare for 10 days.
Oof.
And better believe they're not going to prorate the fee. Nope. I'm still going to pay all my $2,175. Right. So he's out of daycare.
Okay.
And it was funny is like when we were trying to figure out last night, I'm like WhatsApping Tiffany, like telling you what's going on. And I'm thinking, my husband's busier than ever at work. And I do understand that intellectually, but also I do not care. I'm like, you must stay home and help me. But he's like, no, I have to go in. And I never imagined I would root for him to get COVID. But I might have whispered a tiny prayer. I'm just like, if he's positive, then he can't go. And sure enough, he woke up this morning. I'm such a jerk. Yeah, he woke up this morning positive and achy and wah. So both my boys are in bed with peanut butter and jelly sandwiches right now. I tuck them in with 2 iPads and their sandwiches. I said, Mommy's going to work.
Meanwhile, Mandy's over here looking fabulous. If you're just listening, I mean, Mandy's hair, first of all, these curls are popping. I don't know what you've done new, if it's a new product or whatever, but these curls are extra popping. I keep a spray
bottle. We rehydrate. I keep a spray bottle.
Those curls are giving life.
They pop. And a red lip.
And then on top of that, I was going to say, Mandy got a red lip on and it is playing beautifully against her yellow shirt. I'm like, Rona, where? Mandy's looking like, you should be ashamed of yourself. You can't look this good. And meanwhile, your boys are like,
everything is better with a red lip. The same way I got Rio a brand new truck today and it just he was like, Rona who? You know what I mean? We have to fake it till we make it at a certain point. But yeah. So hopefully by the time you guys hear this, they'll start feeling better, and I will not feel any different than I do at this moment in time. Fingers crossed. What's new with you?
Hopefully. Actually, right before this, I was telling you, I was like, oh, I got to be with my attorney because my CFP, Anjali, which is a certified financial planner, which is like the gold star standard for financial advisors. She was like, Tiffany, you need to get your trust in order. And I was like, for why? Because I've got a really good, thorough will. And I was going back and forth. So I met with Tony, who's my attorney. And I was like, oh, because even me with all my learnings didn't fully get the difference between a will and a trust. I kind of got it, but not really. But now I feel like I'm like a good 80%, like, okay, not like I can't be an attorney, but I'm like, oh, I got it. Would you like to know what I learned about trust versus will?
Me. I would love to, because I was told to create a trust too, and I forget why, but I was planning to do it.
So typically, so the main difference is a will is supposed to say, this is what happens to my stuff immediately after I pass away, typically like up to a year. That's like how much control you have. Like, I pass away, this is what I want to happen to my stuff up to a year, right? A trust really is supposed to be like what happens in perpetuity. So if you have additional instructions, so let's just say for Rio, you're like, you know what? Something happens to you, God forbid. And you're like, but right now, so when I pass away, if something happened to me, then Rio would get my assets along with husband. But I really kind of want, because with children, they typically don't get access to whatever funds until they turn 18. But let's be real. 18-year-olds ain't ready for no money. Right?
No. Give them an AR-15, but don't give them money.
Yeah, exactly. But you might say, because I don't want my money or my assets to be given to my child, even when he's 18, at least not right away, I want to have more control beyond that. A trust is where you say, he can get just enough for college at 18. He can get maybe half at 25 and the other half at 30. So a trust allows you to say beyond the initial, I'm not here instantly, what happens with my assets. A trust will allow you to make decisions years and years and years from now. So typically people get trust when they want to do that, especially with their children, or if they want to leave something for generations that are not even here yet.
Yeah.
So you can put things in trust.
This is where the passing of wealth really happens.
Mm-hmm.
Because it's not just your bank accounts, right? Is it also your assets and your business? You know, what happens with your business and all that?
So with my trust, I was like, okay, so I have a really clear-cut will. If something happens to me, my parents get some money, and then my sisters really just split my account 4 ways because that's it, you know? So, but I was like, but 2 of my sisters have children. So I wanted to dictate how I wanted that to look just because of all that I'm going through with my late husband's assets. I'm like, oh, if I would have known this, we would have done this. I'm like, we're not doing that. Yeah. So just to be clear, like if you leave money to a child, the state that you live in will typically hold those funds until they turned 18. And then they really can't do anything. You know, the 18-year-old can blow it, which they likely will. And I'm just like, knowing what I know now, I'm certain that my husband would probably be like, I probably would have wanted to divvy it out a little bit further. And so with my trust, that's what I'm doing. So I have accounts for all the children in my life currently. So I've got like custodial accounts for Alyssa, my stepdaughter, where most of her college fund is. I've got for my nephew Roman, who is 6, my niece Amelia, who's 5, and my niece Lily, who is I believe 3 or 4. And but instead of having them be the beneficiaries, I've now going to make the trust the beneficiary. So if something happens to Auntie, your money goes to a trust, and the trust says, you thought you was getting this at 18? You're not. The trust said, because normally a will says, something happens to Auntie, it goes to you, the court will hold it. When you turn 18, it turns over. I'm like, no. I want to still be here guiding you. So it goes to a trust now, not to you. And the trust, then I can have a trust, give it to you when you're 85 if I wanted to. So you can put things like that. Like, so it's not that. And first I was like, well, Tony, should I put, for example, my home in a trust? And the problem with doing so is that when you put an asset like that in a trust, it is a taxable event, meaning that the trust has to purchase the home, or if you transfer it to the trust, now the trust has to pay taxes on that home or you have to pay tax on the home because of the sale. So I was thinking, like, I thought that I had to transfer, for example, like say I have like an investment account. Let's just say there's $1 million in my investment account. And I'm like, okay, I want to put it in my trust. She's like, if you do that, you actually have to sell the investments and to put them into a trust. And I'm like, well, I don't want to do that. And she's like, what you're thinking about, Tiffany, is that you really want to make, instead of your sisters the beneficiaries of that investment account, you make the trust the beneficiary. And so if something happens to you, then it gets switched over. Do you see? And I was like, oh, so one of the benefits of a trust is, one, being able to tell what you want your money to do years and years and years from now. But also a trust is going to allow you to sidestep some taxes because, like say, for example, in the state of California, a state inheritance tax is pretty high. So if something happens to me and my heirs inherit, the government is like, ooh, child, half that is mine, give or take, right? But with a trust, that's not so, because no one is inheriting anything because it already belonged to the trust. But if someone wanted to go in and withdraw some of their money, then they'll pay income tax, but that's normal. So you're not paying this estate tax, but if you do withdraw money from the trust, then you pay income tax. So it helps to, one, avoid probate, which basically is like the ringside circus to all your stuff being divvied out.
Yes.
And 2, it helps you to, like, I don't want to say avoid, but it helps you to sidestep inheritance tax because they're not really inheriting it. The trust is holding it. The trust basically is like you continuing to live and divvying it out. So it's just really interesting because one last thing for those of you who are business owners, because I know so many Brown Ambition listeners are business owners. I said, so Tony, how do I protect my business interests with the trust? Same. So and we should do this too, honestly, Mandy, we need to get on our operating agreement for Brown Ambition, sidebar. My operating agreement for the Literature Academy says, so my Literature Academy, I have a business partner in that business. And it says, if something were to happen to me, my shares in the Academy would go to a trust. Not at first it said it was going to go to my husband, but now I'm like, no. She's like, this is wiser. It goes to that trust. And then from that trust, it, gets divvied out to like my sisters, however. And so I'm like, okay, the rule of thumb with a trust is if you don't have at least $500,000 in assets, it kind of doesn't make sense. If you have over, I think it was like $1 million or $2 million, or I think it's maybe $5 million in assets, something to that effect, you definitely ought to do it because the estate taxes would just be tremendous. So yeah, so I'm hoping that's does that make sense? That like a trust is like, I want to tell you what to do years from now. A will is like, I can only tell you what to do at the moment that I pass away.
Yeah. And it's not just about, I mean, I guess, and to your point, again, I'm trying to repeat it so that it sticks to my brain. In a will, you could plot it all out. I want so-and-so to get this much at 18, that much at 25. But the key here is the tax savings, because when it's inherited by an estate, like you said, you don't have to, a trust, like you said, you don't have to pay that estate tax, right?
Because in the will,
pay taxes
you can't
on it if they withdraw from it.
In a will, there's more leeway for people not to listen. Like meaning like you can say like, oh, like I can say like, Roman's going to inherit, and I really want it to be parceled out, but it doesn't it's typically not going to happen that way, because if you leave money, you can have some direction for it. But ultimately, the state is like, once this child turns 18, that's their business. But with a trust, the trust is actually, there's a trustee in place that actually by law must divvy it out per your instructions. The state is like the state that you live in, like New Jersey, New York. They don't work for you. They're like, sis, all this, when he turns 18, 13, no. Like, like when he turns 18, here's the life insurance. So that's another thing too, that's in my trust, that my life insurance, especially with life insurance, because that's usually where you have the most. My life insurance, the beneficiary is going to be the trust, because especially with the life insurance, they're like, girl, we don't care nothing about your divvying. The person is going to get it upon your death unless they're a minor, and then we will hold it until they're 18. That's on you how you want to divvy it up. But with the trust will divvy it up because they do work for you. And so just considering that if you have started to grow wealth beyond $500,000 or so, like I'm not going to put my home in a trust because the taxes I would have to pay as a result would just be too much. But making the trust the beneficiaries of parts of like my financial life is really going to help me to make sure that the wealth that I have grown, it sees more than one generation. That's really the key, because if my heirs inherit via a will, it could be gone in one generation. But a trust allows me to say, even if that generation messes it up, I have set aside for the one after that and the one after that. And
I was going to ask you, so do you have that in there, like Roman's heirs?
So I'm
Amelia's
going to
heirs, Lily's heirs,
or even children that are not even born yet. Like for example, my sister Lisa's really young. She's like, she hasn't had children yet. But if something happens to me, I want to put that in there. If another child is, sired, this is what's going to happen. And so it's just like, oh, I get it now. Yes, and that's truly how you. Yes, like the grown like financial stuff, and I'm like, wow.
It's so good. It's such good timing too. Not just because someone had advised me to do it, but I was on a panel on Friday, like a early Juneteenth panel. And there was this incredible woman who I would love to have on the show. Consider this your formal invitation, Dr. Jolly. First of all, she has the most incredible name, Dr. Pamela Jolly. She is a generational wealth building expert in Black communities. And she has dedicated her career to working in the Black community and educating them on exactly what you're talking about. But her obsession, her passion is how to pass on generational wealth. And she literally was just making this point about how in our communities, so much is focused on accruing the wealth. And it's in the passing on of it. Is that even the right grammar? Anyway, that we are sorely undereducated. So it's all synergy and all magic. I have to have her on someday, but yeah, absolutely. And, I think like the overall message is like, the work is not done when you just earn the money. Yep. It's like the responsible thing to do truly for future generations is to take that money on a journey. And like, where is that journey going to take? How far is it going to go? And it's like you're ensuring that it's going to have a long life.
Because it's not just because I've seen people, like there's this beautiful house here in Newark. There's a woman here who used to live in that house, and she was like, her grandmother was one of the first Black women millionaires. I forget what she did. And she built this beautiful historic home. Well, now it's historic. And now that home is in disrepair. So I'm like, so your grandmother built millions. It was passed on to your mom or dad. And now there's nothing for you. What a short-lived life of that wealth. And it's like, why? And so one, we have to pass on knowledge, not just the wealth. So I'm always in Alyssa's behind, like the other day she asked me, she's like, can you buy me some summer clothes? I said, of course, sis, we can go right on to the outlet store and hit up Old Navy and the Gap because I know like they're gonna have solid clothes. I was thinking more like Shein. I was like, no.
What is Shein? I'm not convinced that I could go on. I'm convinced it's like a scam. How is everything $4.99?
I mean, like, and I was like, sis, first of all, you don't hang up clothes. You're gonna dry these clothes and they're gonna be plastic, like it's not happening. Right. But I'm always talking to Alyssa about finances because I know I won't be here forever and I want to pass on the knowledge. That's one. But just in case the knowledge don't stick, I am also passing along like your kids. Yes. And so that I think is what's missing, that it's not to say because people make mistakes. There was this really interesting YouTube documentary I was watching about the people of Appalachia. And there was a woman there. She had to be like in her 70s or 80s, and she did not have a college education or high school education. But she was just sharing how like generation after generation after generation of her family had lived in the Appalachian Mountains, and they had like 200 acres, it was just beautiful property. Here this old woman is who's like, I don't have much learnings. And I've sent my kids to school and my grandbabies are all college educated and this son is an attorney and all this stuff. But guess what? All this property that I have, one thing I didn't know was I put it in a trust. She said, and what she said at the time, I didn't get it. And I get it now. She said, because there won't be any weak links in this family destroying our legacy. And what she meant was with a will, you say my son inherits this property. Great. But your son can then sell it to Walmart. Then what? Because you could only tell him what to do at the moment of your passing. You inherited it. With a trust is my son inherits his property and can never sell it. That's what the trust says. And has to pass it on to his son and his son and his son. So with a trust, you can say years from now what to do. And she basically was like, I don't want any weak links selling off this generational ancestral land, to make a quick buck. Because she said this land doesn't just belong to my son and, my daughter, whatever. It belongs to all those that come after him. And I was like, wow, and so that's what's like, so, it's just critically important. Estate planning is so important. And you might think to yourself, let me just give you a little encouragement. If you're like, well, I don't have a ton of money and yada, yada, yada. My husband, candidly so, never made over $60,000 a year. And before I got to him, this man had a personal policy of $250,000 that he set aside for his daughter. He had policies at work. I think the job policies almost total about $400,000 because he had life insurance at the job for about $200,000, and then he also had a pension, which was like another $150,000, $200,000, something to that effect. And so this is all before I got to him. Like he got additional life insurance at work. I just found out additional life insurance at work. So this is someone who, my husband, who never made over $60,000. He prepared for his, and meanwhile, he got the $250,000 policy when my stepdaughter Alyssa was 5. So he prepared in advance for, God forbid, something happened. Now, it's not enough that Alyssa will never have to work, but it's enough that she doesn't have to worry about school. She doesn't have to worry about her first car. She doesn't have to worry about prom. She doesn't have to worry about her sweet 16 that's coming up. She doesn't have to worry about even like the down payment on her first house. All those kind of like dad-esque financial things. This man who did not go to college, who did not make more than 60, provided for his family in this way. And so I'm encouraging
Superman
you, that you don't have to make, I'm saying that because you don't have to make a ton. I know it's like, oh, well, Tiffany, that's easy for you to say, girl, with your budget. He said, no, take me out of it. This is what he did. And so I just want you to know that it is possible for you to do the same. It just means that you have to look at your paperwork and make a conscious choice. And that trust thing is so critically important because there are parts of his estate plan that he entrusted to folks who have now decided to not do what he initially intended. And so with a trust, there is no option to behave like that. And so that's why, like, I've really been on a crusade myself to be like, put it in trust if it makes sense for you. Make sure you have a very clear will about what you want to happen with your funds, and do not trust that someone else will take care of it. You can literally have the directions written in trust and in will, and not have to worry about like someone else, looking after the funds on your behalf or behalf of your child. Because when money comes, people act funny when the money hits.
Can we talk about this magical, mystical trustee? Because in my brain, I'm picturing like Dwayne "The Rock" Johnson. Like that's in like a real fire business suit, like maybe something that he wore in Ballers. Not that I have, solidified those to memory because he's fine. But anyway, I picture him like protecting the vault. You know what I mean? But where does one get the trustee? And is it through is it a financial firm? Is it your attorney? What if she dies? Like, how does that all work?
So, I mean, I'm not an attorney, I know that I'm a revocable trust. You can be the trustee on a revocable trust, which is what they suggest, that you be a trustee and then you have backup trustees. Okay. Right. So you're going to want, for your backup trustee, to your point, you're going to want someone who, like has some basic education. It's not that, that a backup trustee is not going to be allowed to just run rampant, because they can easily be sued for not doing what the trust says. And so you're going to want someone who, at least can kind of understand the process, is not going to be overwhelmed by it. I don't know if you can ask your financial advisor, if I'm being honest. I just know with the revocable trust,
I feel like that's who it would be, like an estate planning attorney, like someone who's objective-ish and isn't a family member. Yeah.
I mean, I guess I'm not going to lie that I'm in the part now where I just spoke with Tony today, and she was like, oh, just so you know, a revocable trust is a trust that you can make changes on, you could make whatever decisions you want. Like, that's when you hear people say, I'm taking you out the trust. You could do that with revocable trust. An irrevocable trust is locked, sis. That means you can't change beneficiaries or people without everyone in the who are beneficiaries agreeing. So I'll give you an example. Kobe Bryant listened to his mama and was like, I don't know if I trust Vanessa and them. And like, because I have children and I want to make sure, God forbid something happens to me, that my kids are looked after. So he had an irrevocable trust created for his children, where the vast majority, like, he left her something, obviously, like generously, but the vast majority of his wealth went to his girls. Now, here's the thing. The way his trust was set up, he did not add a child until they turned 1. So when he passed away, the baby was not 1 yet. And an irrevocable trust is basically locked. Unless everyone's in agreement, we can make a change. So she had to petition the courts to say, reasonably so, my husband would want his daughter in this kid's trust, because that's what we did. She just was not 1 yet. So the judge had to be like, okay, everybody's okay. And so, but he made it irrevocable because he didn't want, like, God forbid, Vanessa, like, thinks she's dating someone now. Let's just say she marries this new guy, and this new guy has 4 children of his own. And she's like, well, and he was like, well, I want my kids to have some of that money too. Kobe's from the grave is like, not my money. That irrevocable trust cannot be broken open to add some new folks. And so you have to be careful with irrevocable trust, because it really is irrevocable. You can't just be like, I'm mad at my sister. She can't be in it anymore. It's irrevocable, sis, unless you call your sister and say, can you agree for me to remove you from that trust? So for now, I'm starting with a revocable trust. And maybe as I get a little older, like, let's just say I'm 80, I'm like, well, let me go ahead and lock this in so can't nobody come in here make some changes. But yeah, that's the difference. And then with an irrevocable, I believe, if I vaguely remember, that I don't know if you're allowed to be your own trustee. I think you do have to get a trustee for an irrevocable. Don't quote me on that, but I know for a fact for a revocable that you could be a trustee, and you should also have like some sort of like backup trustee. I'll just give you some quick little homework that Tony had given me before we had our trust call. She said, name your trust. I mean, you can call it balloons. They don't care. But one thing she did say is be careful about naming your trust your name, like Tiffany Aliche Trust, because trust can be sued. So someone might be Googling like, I'm suing Tiffany. And they're like, ooh, girl, she got a $5 million trust. Not my Bubbles trust. Bubbles and them, good luck finding that. Like, that's not obviously the name of my trust. That's not the name of it. But just so you know, name it, but be mindful about using your name out of, just because. 2, figure out the beneficiaries of your trust. So Like I said, for me, it's the kids and my sisters, yada, yada. 3, you have to figure out what bank you're going to want your trust because you have to fund it. And then 4, alternative trustees. So certainly you can be a trustee, but you have to figure out what are some alternative trustees. So I just think honestly, and as I move through the process, I will come up today in trust, we did this because I think it's important for us to all learn because honestly, as much as Mandy and I have all this financial education, trust yes, it's financial education, but it's also just a lot of law. And so I'm not an attorney and neither is Mandy. And so we get to learn firsthand, oh, that's how you do it. So as I learn more, I definitely will share more.
Isn't that the magic of the show? You come along for the journey. In a couple of years from now, it will be yeah, remember that trust? Oh, yeah, we were babies then. We're talking. I don't know what we'll be doing in a couple of years from now. Who knows? But yeah, that's awesome. And I think so. I definitely want to have Dr. Jolly on. I got to remember to invite her on because I think about my great-granddaddy Woodruff was my dad. I had no idea. He was a successful farmer and he had a profitable farm in Carrollton, Georgia, land and cattle and farmland, and was a businessman.
Wow.
And a couple of generations from him, lots of my dad's family have not ever seen a piece of that. And it was very much because of that lack of the passing on of generational wealth. And you mentioned the probates and the so-and-so sold the land to a developer, just like you said. And I'm just beginning. I'm having these conversations that are blowing my mind. I'm gonna have to get down to Carrollton, Georgia. I want to learn all about this. But yeah, such a relevant conversation.
You could have been a trust fund baby.
It's a shame too, I know. My living uncles, my great uncles, they were sharecroppers. I'm not. It's not, and that's what Dr. Jolly talks about is how close we are to ancestors who were working in fields as slaves and then sharecropping and all of that. And, and being 4 generations from that and the lack of education, like you're saying, that's why it's so crucial, has created this fractured timing, this fractured growth where we're not actually benefiting and building upon that foundation. It's we got to tear the house down each generation and start from scratch. And we got to break that cycle. Yes, absolutely.
I love that.
So I look forward to more of your gems.
I love that. Tear the house down with each generation, literally rebuilding every single generation. That's such a great analogy.
Yeah, because my great-granddaddy Woodruff had to learn the same stuff I'm learning, different industry. Obviously, I'm not out here with pigs, but all those lessons, who knew? I didn't know that was in my history. So yeah, powerful, powerful, powerful stuff. And thank you as always for sharing and letting us peek into your get some free secondhand advice. We love it.
my messy life.
Yes. Hey, BA fam. If y'all know anything about Brown Ambition on social media, it's that we are huge Canva fans. And shout out to our social media manager, Amber, because she does incredible things with Canva. And we are happy to say that Canva is also one of our partners. Yes, we are supported by Canva. And without their seamless creative process, I honestly do not know what we would do, especially without Canva Pro. Designing with Canva Pro is seriously so fast and fun. I love doing it. I'm a little jealous that Amber gets to do it all the time, but you know what? We got to delegate and ask for help sometimes, right? But with Canva Pro, they have endless premium fonts, videos, photos. You can make reels on Canva Pro. You can do videos. You can do all the PowerPoint, all the decks that I use from my Mandy Moneymakers group. I use using Canva and they look so polished and it could not be easier. You can design like a pro with Canva Pro. Right now, you can get a free 45-day extended trial when you use our promo code. Just go to canva.me/brownambition to get your free 45-day extended trial. That's canva.me/brownambition. Canva.me/brownambition.
Hey, BA fam. Let me get all up in your business for a moment. How'd you sleep last night? If you answered not so great or just okay, or don't ask, you're not alone. 1 out of 3 Americans report being sleep deprived. And did you know your sheets could be the problem? The wrong sheets can trap body heat, leaving you boiling 1 minute and freezing the next. I've been there. But you know the solution? Cozy Earth sheets. I've been sleeping like a baby thanks to my Cozy Earth sheets. I love them, honestly. It's like sleeping on a cloud. Cozy Earth are the softest, most luxurious, and best temperature regulating sheets on the planet. You don't believe me? Cozy Earth has made Oprah's most favorite things list 4 years in a row. They even offer a 100-night sleep trial, which means you have up to 100 nights to sleep on it, wash it, and try it out. If you're not completely in love, just send it back for a full refund. Check them out and save 35% on Cozy Earth. Hurry, because the offer ends soon. Go to CozyEarth.com, enter our promo code Brown Ambition, and save 35%. That's CozyEarth.com, promo code Brown Ambition, CozyEarth.com. Hey, BA fam. Now we are going to have a word from our sponsor, BetterHelp. Are you working too much? Yes. Not taking enough time for yourself, feeling burnt out. Life can be overwhelming. Don't you know? I know. And many people are burnt out without even knowing it. Symptoms can include lack of motivation, irritability, fatigue, and more. We associate burnout with work, but that's not the only cause. Any of our roles in life can lead to us feeling burnt out. BetterHelp Online Therapy wants to remind you to prioritize yourself. Talking with someone can help you figure out what's causing stress in your life. BetterHelp is customized online therapy that offers video, phone, and even live chat sessions with your therapist, so you don't have to see anyone on camera if you really don't want to. It's much more affordable than in-person therapy, and you can be matched with a therapist in under 48 hours. Our listeners get 10% off their first month at betterhelp.com/brownambition. That's betterhelp.com/brownambition. That's betterhelp.com/brownambition. And now it's time to boost up, break up, boost up, break up, boost up, break up, boost. Break.
Hurry, my lymph nodes are swelling. I feel it. It's coming for
me. Okay. Are we going to boost or you going to break? I think we decided we're going to do like a joint boosty breaky, right?
We have to do a collective boosty breaky.
A themed booster break, if you will.
A themed boosty breaky, yes. We are just 6 days. Well, when you guys hear this, just a few days away from Juneteenth, which of course celebrates the emancipation of slaves and moving on to a new future. And finally, Juneteenth is getting some shine. We have company holidays. It's a federal holiday now, right?
Yeah. Which I was like,
to Biden.
Okay. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, but shout out to producer Imani who sent us this article from Newsweek about how y'all are just, it's cracking me up. But also, why not? You know, there's this whole debate about reparations. Black folks of the internet said, why wait? Why wait for legislation? Let's start giving people our cash apps and letting them go ahead and donate reparations to us. So this has apparently been happening on Twitter. So Twitterverse has been talking about all the different ways to send money to Black Americans directly via Cash App, Venmo, Apple Pay, and Zelle. People have been telling their followers to comment with their usernames, and they may be sent money to celebrate the holiday. So y'all want to make some quick cash? That's one way to celebrate.
Have you ever seen people like, have you ever given to anybody, like not just for Juneteenth, but in general, like cash?
Yeah, I do love my TikTok. And I feel like part of your TikTok bio these days is like a Cash App name, especially for the beauty of TikTok is I sometimes will get on my For You page homeless people who are living in shelters and are sharing their experience. And there is this mom, and it really struck a chord to me because she had recorded herself doing her daughter's hair and she had a toddler and a baby and are in a homeless shelter. This was like live a couple of days ago in a homeless shelter in the Bronx. And I can't remember her name. But yeah, she wasn't even asking for money necessarily, but TikTokers will tend to ask you, if you're posting, like, what's your Cash App? And so, I did donate to her and it felt good. It felt good to be able to see something and then do something.
Yes.
Feel like I made it a tiny bit better.
And I mean, that's always nice. I did that for there's a Instagrammer. I think it's like Mainly Manny or something like that, but he's hilarious. And he was like struggling with I think he couldn't afford rent, or his grandmother had recently passed away and he had been staying with her, and he was having a hard time. But I know that when I was having my hardest of times, it's one of the few places I knew I could laugh because he does the skits and stuff. And so I said, you know what? When I saw that, I gave him like 50 to $100. I can't remember. I just cash apped him some money because I was just like, you've helped me get through a hard time. Hopefully this is a little something to help you. And yeah, it looks like it works because later he said, thank you guys so much. I was able to find an apartment or whatever he was looking for. And so, I mean, I know it's odd to feels like people giving you money because when I first saw people putting their cash apps, I'm like, that seems weird. But then someone gave me money. I did not ask for it. I was doing an IG live maybe like a couple weeks ago. And when I got off, it said, Tiffany, you earned $10 in badges. I'm like, what? So apparently when you're live, people can like basically send you money by purchasing a badge. And I can't remember how much you have to make in order to like do a withdrawal, but I'm not there yet. I'm like, $20 in, but I did not ask for that.
Yeah.
So I thought that was interesting.
Yeah, it's definitely it's making it easier for creators to see some financial gain. I mean, I still think it's really hard to get to a place where you're making money directly from the platform itself. Like, of course, you can sell your product and make money that way, but TikTok and IG are both hopefully working on ways to help creators make more. But it's not. It has a long ass way to go.
A long way to go.
I was thinking about this whole national holiday. Now it's a national holiday. Even our podcast network, Cumulus, we're just trying to figure out what we're going to do next week because they are celebrating or they're observing Juneteenth on that Monday. And I love that companies in our country have finally recognized as a holiday. But I like the idea of, okay, so what are we going to do? MLK Day became a day of service and companies would, give back in that way.
Yes.
If you're at a company that has it lets you guys observe Juneteenth, I would not stop asking for, what are the retention rates for workers of color? How are Black people at this company succeeding? Especially if you're interviewing, asking those questions in an interview. I really recommend people ask them. And sometimes I get like, really, you're going to bring up race in an interview? I would much rather know, before I join a company, if there's anyone, especially when I'm coming into a company, at my level, maybe VP, SVP, I would want to know up front, what are my odds of success here in art? Does anyone look like me? And do they have a proven track record of women of color winning? And if the answer is no, then I would definitely think twice about, joining that company. So even though I just don't think obviously it's a nice gesture, but you have to continue holding these companies responsible for doing a lot damn more.
Yes, it's like when they slap on, like, right now it's Pride. Like, we get it. The Oreo has a rainbow filling, but Oreo, what are you doing behind the scenes to support that community financially? Okay, so like that's the thing that a lot of these companies will slap on. Oh, it's Black History Month. Everything is black, 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 and then you look at like the way their hiring practices. You look at, how many people are promoted. I much rather that than saying like, I've got this T-shirt that says Black on it. I remember there was a company that refused to do just black. There's this company they wanted me to partner. This is like during the height of like George Floyd and that, Black Lives Matter movement. And they wanted me to do like they wanted me to do an IG takeover. And I was like real sassy then. I was like, okay, well, can you tell me how many employees you have? Black employees you have?
Amazing.
I was like, literally zero. I said, okay, what about contractors? Well, you would be, I get to be the first? No.
Yep.
And I was like, well, what about, forget Black, what about just people of color? Mandy, I was like, damn, the bar was in hell. And then I was like, they're like, oh, wait. When we run ads and stuff, we do hire some like, people to do our commercials. I'm like, oh, so you take the Black dollar, but you just don't pay Black people. How cute for you. Yeah. Kick rocks. And so for like every month after that, they would be updating like, hey, we're trying to hire Blacks. I honestly, it was really terrible. It was giving cringe. And I'm like, honestly, I don't need your updates. Like, look in the mirror for that. Like, you don't have to update me every month. I'm not working with you. Like the answer is, and oh no. Because more you wanted me to be your
so much more
your Black Band-Aid. Yeah, so no.
Yeah, absolutely. You have to make them uncomfortable. I remember having a conversation with our podcast network about how we have no Black producers. Hi, Imani. And when a position opened up, you were on hiatus, but I sure did email my buddy John. Like, hi, you can cut this out if you guys decide to. It's fine. But I think people should know. Keep it. Damn it. Keep it. It's true. I think people should know. They should know that if you have a teeny tiny bit of power and you feel so moved, why not ask? You ain't got to be black to do it either. You really don't. You know, one company that I think is getting it right, maybe I hope that I'm not wrong here, but Target seems to be stacking their wins. Like Tabitha Brown just launched a beautiful collection. I went and grabbed me a nice dress from her collection. A lot of it is Tabitha Brown, right? Yes. Explosion. But they focus on getting and spotlighting and amplifying Black businesses, in their stores and actually helping you identify, so that if how you want to celebrate Juneteenth is purchasing from a Black business, that you can go to Target and potentially do that. You can also do it, we'll post a link in the show notes for some roundups of Black businesses maybe you could purchase from and just, vote with your dollars.
I'm like, although Target, I never see my book anymore in Target. Is it sold out or are you just not purchasing more?
Wait?
I mean, every time I go to Target, I'm like, ¿Dónde está mi libro? Look at my Spanish. That means where's my book for those of you who are not bilingual like me and Mandra. And so I'm like, for real, I'm always like, where is it? Has it sold out or
it's sold out?
Is it not here? Target, wait. I thought we were friends.
People line up in the mornings and they wait and they say, give me.
No, but honestly, and to your point, I don't know for sure, but it does seem as if, because there are a lot of people who I know, like there's makeup line. What's her name? She's out of Detroit. Her name is Melissa. She's got her the lip bar. No, I think it is a lip bar. And she's got this new makeup line called The Thread. Also, she's another woman who makes the t-shirts. Who's the woman that makes Mess in a Bottle? Khalila Wright. And so she had this whole thing. Also, Unique. I don't remember Unique's last name, but she's got this company called Because of Them We Can. But she created this really fun game called Culture Tags. And so like that's highlighted at Target. So yeah, I do like that they seem to be going out of their way to highlight and create space for these Black businesses. Honey Pot, which we have to talk about. We don't talk about this week, but Honey Pot.
I know we keep wanting to talk about that, but yes,
Honey Pot but like is one.
Yeah. So and what's the butter bar that you always talk about?
But I don't think the butter bar is in Target, because the thing about Target is,
aren't they Black owned?
Oh yeah, they're great. And so Puka, Butter Bar, and honestly, but yeah, so I like that, Mandy and I here try to create space, obviously, for like Black and brown women, whether it's in our own companies. I would say 90% of my company are Black and brown women, heavy on the Black, but although we have other women as well. And then that's, I intentionally try to create a space. Obviously, like I'm looking to hire the best that's out there, but we really try to create a space where it's like, sis, you could be the best. Come on in here. Let's interview. Because I certainly have interviewed a wide range of folks and, but been very, very conscious, since that's the large audience I speak to. I wanted that folks that really understood who we're speaking to, how and why. So that's what I look for too. Plus that's honestly
no change without intention.
Yes, exactly. You have to be intentional. So I guess the boost here is lip service. We see you. And then the
that's the break. That's the break.
The break is the lip service, and the boost is for those who are really doing it. So we, boop 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 for you.
Shout out to my neighborhood for having a cookout. Is everyone invited? I don't know. Actually, I'm not invited. I'm in the COVID house now. Shit.
Oh no.
I have no Juneteenth. Damn.
So you know what? Speaking of which,
I'm looking forward to that.
You know what? I'm actually taking part in a Juneteenth event on Sunday. Let me pull it up. I'm over here wilding.
Okay.
Oh, let me see. Earn your leisure.
I want to be outside at a barbecue.
I'm gonna.
Tanya, bring me a plate if you're listening. Bring me a plate.
So let me see. What is this? So, because I think the tickets are free. Oh, so it's called. Oh no, that's not that one. What is it called?
I found it. Tiffany Alice's tweet going down with Angela Yee, biggest financial education event in NYC in honor of the Black Money Forum.
That's what it's called.
You tweeted it. I found it.
I know. Well, I didn't tweet it, but Logan.
Ooh, look at the melanin. Ooh, yes. Okay.
Yes.
I see you in the red.
It's gonna doors open
cash.
at 1 p.m. Mm-hmm.
And I investing, think it closes, stocks, real estate, credit, business, personal finance, free community event, blackmoneyforum.com. Got it.
So it seems like it's really going to be super awesome. And so, yeah, but I love it because it's on Juneteenth. It's full of Black educators. We're talking everything that you could think of about money. And it's sponsored by BE and the T. So it's super Black. So y'all should mosey on over.
More Blackity
Black,
Black, Black.
And I almost
going to be in person?
Yes, and I'm almost positive that it's free.
It is free. It says so. Free community event. So if you're in NYC, blackmoneyforum.com.
It's at the King's Theater, which is in Brooklyn off Flatbush. Can it be any blacker than that? Flatbush,
no.
Brooklyn?
I get a shade darker with every sentence you utter.
So join us on over there.
Just saying a lot. I am getting pretty tan from watching my caterpillars hatch.
Okay.
Oh, I love it. All right. That's so exciting. Happy Juneteenth, y'all. I hope you celebrate, acknowledge it in some way.
Yes.
I'll be celebrating it from my couch, watching endless hours of Blippi. So post pics and I'll live vicariously through y'all.
Oh, and thank you for doing your homework, some of y'all. Some of y'all did not do your homework. That's sending us continue. I love that. Continue to screenshot and tag us in how much the Apple stock. Is it Apple? No.
Amazon. Oh, yeah.
Amazon. Child.
Yes.
Yeah. So, because I love to see, I want to see the progression because it was like 124 when we chatted, right, Mandy? And then someone sent it to me. I was like, oh, wow, it's gone all the way down. It was like 109. And so, as of right now, let me pull it up right quick because it's going to be your homework to screenshot and tag. And we, I promise next time because we're running kind of late now, but we'll actually shout you out because I think that it's really good to you get to see how Amazon be going up and down. Now, someone tagged me yesterday. Now it's 104. So it's dropped everything $20 a share already. So
this is why I'm gonna stick to my index funds. No, but now might be a good time to. I'm gonna just keep. Is it gonna keep going down? Maybe I'll buy some.
I don't know. So keep an eye on. So let's talk about it. It's 104.28 right now. So screenshot what the stock price is of Amazon when you're listening to this. Tag the BA podcast on Twitter. And you know what? Because I do want to honor it. Mandy, do you have access to
I'm
Twitter?
Reading it.
Can you just shout a few people out just so we could be thank you?
So shout out to D Brown 2115. She did her homework. Let's see who else. Megan or Megan? I don't know. Wasn't that a Key and Peele skit? Anyway, Megan at Lush Zeb. She tweeted us when it was 118 a share. Bandemic Baby said it was also tweeted us when it was at 118. First Gen Rise at First Gen Rise tweeted us. It was at 120. We're just going backwards up the hill. And then I am Malakia. Sorry if I pronounced that wrong. I am Malakia. Said just heard episode 311. I also enjoyed the podcast and welcome back, Tiffany. And she took a screenshot. It was at 122.
Ooh, all right, child, you see?
Oh, and one more. Ava Lucian. Yeah, we're going back. Maybe I'll start at the beginning next time. But hopefully, and it shows you too, it's just how easy it is to Google and see where the prices are at. And even on Google, they do a good job. You can see the historic value of companies, where they've been in the past, where they're going. It's the big, if that's the first time you've ever Googled a stock.
I like this. I feel like we should do it. We should give a little homework and be like, this is where you submit it. So we give you a little shout out, right? I like that. So continue your homework, tag at the BA podcast, and we will shout you out at the end of next episode. Let's see how the stock is doing. Hopefully, eventually we'll be able to say, it's up. Because right now it's not.
Yeah. Well, even if you're just investing in general, tweet us, let us know how things are going. We want to support.
Yeah.
Always. Well, thank y'all for another incredible week of Brown Ambition. Stay tuned for BA Q&A on Friday. We will be here with a new episode this coming Friday. So we'll talk to y'all then.
Bye.